live on YouTube, and listen back on Spotify. This is the World of Football podcast.
I think we're missing something again, aren't we? There she is. Good evening and welcome back to the World of Football podcast, listening live on YouTube and watching back on Spotify. Hope you guys have all had a good week. I look like I've spent 10 years on a sunbed, but football's back. A lot of dramas happened this week and we absolutely love to see it. So all I'll say aside from that, and in fact, no, I'm not even going to introduce you guys this week, because at the end of the day,
why was he right this time? No. Where? And
I tell you for why.
Vincent Tan, he's the man with the plan. Vincent Tan.
That's going in the Christmas charts this year, I guarantee it.
He's trying to figure it out. He's trying to just get in his head. He's like, why now?
Yeah, what did you say this time? I've just forgotten. It's just gone out of my head.
It worked. We got him, Nathan.
We got him. We got him. Anyway, Julio, how are you doing, bud?
Speechless is beautiful.
Oh, mate, I've had a long day. Let's just get on with it. I've been looking forward to this all day. It's my escape from reality. So let's just get on with it.
Bingo, Reece, how you doing, bud?
Apart from the fact that was all my idea for this opening show,
you couldn't have been.
Yeah, it was all my idea. I mean, there's a lot more to come.
Ah, shit.
Theories to dissolve, Everton to abuse, more takeovers, more clubs being exposed. Fonseca still on the hate watch, but apart from that, we're going to be divulging lots of information and no Grant Hanley.
Say his name and he appears.
Every time you say Grant Hanley, it's going on the screen.
I've got some news I want to share with you guys, actually.
There will be one for me coming out soon.
Rob Page, interested in the Cardiff job, apparently.
That's where we start.
Nathan, it's over. It's over.
That's so getting clipped.
Stephen Schumacher was the other name interested as well, but I don't think we care about Stephen Schumacher as much as we care about Rob Page.
At the end of the day, lads, I think Reece has lost his head.
Oh yes.
Fucking hell. You know, Reece, you think you were a Swansea fan, actually, with the amount of Michael Laudrup prop you put on this show and that.
Yes.
I love Michael Laudrup, but that's the difference.
Yeah, but he's a massive football hipster. Aside from he was an extremely good footballer, as a manager, he was a hipster.
No, you say that.
Good manager, but hipster.
My favourite thing about him was during the training. This is a story from Ashley Williams himself, by the way. So Michael Laudrup wouldn't prepare them for the game, would coach them, and training would be just as normal.
This is true. Done the same with Copenhagen.
And it wasn't until the match day where he turned and went like, "Yo, Ash, who are you playing today? Oh, Gaffer, we're playing Stoke. What do they play like? Who are their players?" Just didn't care about who the other team were, and they was like, "Oh, okay, fair enough." And they just kept doing their own thing.
Like a proper manager. Fucked up position.
I mean, because the only thing I'll defend him with, and I got to bring it up again.
It was already there.
At the end,
I know, but
the reason I'm getting with it is because Reece always says to make the league adapt to you, and that's why Laudrup was successful in the first season.
Yeah, the second season they just didn't support him. If anything, the second season they just did not support the guy at
I think
all.
there was a lot of off the field issues. I think the relationship between Laudrup's agent and the board got sour, and it was pretty much downhill from there.
Yeah, but then
Elements
again,
of second
back
season
in-
syndrome. To
That's true.
poor
Not that.
recruitment.
back in
Actually, that's a genuine
2013-14, what you got to remember as well with Swansea is, yes, they had Hugh Jenkins in charge as their chairman. God, I hate that man. But the majority of it was fan-owned. In fact, all of it was fan-owned at that point. And
they
wasn't
still
sold out to
were.
the Americans.
They were fan-owned as well, but when you look at it as well, they weren't really making the most of like any income they were bringing in. Like they could have. When you realistically look at the team that they had when they won the Carabao Cup, if you actually deep it and you look at it, like that squad, even if it was fan-owned, they could have spent whatever they brought in as revenue. They could have at least strengthened a little bit sooner. Imagine if Michael Laudrup was the one that had Wilfred Bonney.
Oh my god.
He was. You brought him in.
He didn't get. Aye, but he didn't get.
You only got like 3. Granted, you only got like 3 months with him.
Yeah, the one
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
on about is like prime Barclays Wilfred Boney though.
You know, he didn't
Exactly.
get-
That's what I mean.
Big example.
Laudrup got the best version of Bonnie is when he first came to the Prem from Vitesse.
But the problem is he never got long
Time.
enough with him. Yeah,
Yeah.
if he had got
Yeah.
the time with
And
him,
Michu wasn't firing on all cylinders as well.
he was found out quick. I liked Michu in that,
Second
in that
season
opening
syndrome.
season. Like that opening season that he had, like he was really good. But I think the second
Mhm.
season is they were just like, all right then. Like that was it. It's just all right. Okay, we've seen what you can do. You're gonna replicate that form? No. Okay. Let your team down.
Mhm.
You long-haired prick. That's literally what he practically became. So inconsistent, so poor. He is a streets will never forget one season wonder. But when he really mattered the most, that second season they really needed him, and he didn't turn up once.
I remember him playing in both of the South Wales derbies in 13-14, and honestly, like, I
Especially the first one.
He's the most. Yeah. Oh my god.
The first one,
at home,
the one
wasn't
that-
it?
The joint up.
the one that you
Stuck the
won,
joint up.
the one that Cardiff won that year, I think he came off about 60 minutes. Was poor.
He did.
Didn't
he was-
offer anything.
He
stunk
was
the
by
pla-
far the worst
he
player on the
stunk
pitch.
place out. He stunk the place out at Cardiff Stadium. Like it was really bad. Like I was
Minus-
actually watching that. I was actually watching that game the other day, funnily enough, like just a rewatch highlights or just players I've liked that I'm just critiquing the fuck out of. And I was watching again. It was about 60 minutes, yeah. But it's not even that. It was 60 minutes, but he was walking.
Bearing in mind, in a derby as well, I know that day Swansea were never going to win with the atmosphere in there. It was ridiculous. It was the only, aside from the Man City game and a few that we had a few seasons prior in like the playoffs and stuff, that was the closest you get to Ninian Park. It was
Yeah.
incredible. But I mean, aside from what's his name, Michu stinking out the place, Michel Vorm did as well. Let's just say,
Another thing
That
as
was his
well,
worst
actually,
Swansea game.
oh, by a mile.
one thing I just want to bring up actually, because Reece, you made a really good point about investment.
Mhm.
I'm just looking now at their transfers.
It was bad
Oh,
though, eh? Like when you
13,
look
really
at
bad.
Do you mind if I
money.
share screen?
Yeah.
Share screen.
The value of each player, I don't think they spent much when you look
They
at who
didn't.
they actually
They
went for.
spent big on Bonnie.
Which is reasonable.
Then they
But
spent
imagine-
5 million, almost 6 million euros on John Joe Shelby from Liverpool. But then, you know, Jordi Amat for 2 million.
He was crap at
Kanyas
all.
on a free transfer.
Adam King as well. I forgot about that.
God,
Yeah.
that's a
You know, a
not
couple
bad.
more hipster signings, you could argue, in Vasquez and Pozuelo, but nothing really there. There wasn't really the strengthening. If I go to the year before, when Laudrup
The-
first came in,
It was serious.
That was the trophy winning season, wasn't it?
yeah, 7 million for Pablo Hernandez, 7 million Ki Sung Young, 2 million Michu, 2 million Chico. There's a loan transfer, obviously, Jonathan.
I
Guzman.
have. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have
it's
a
a
funny
recruitment.
story about Chico Flores, but I can't
Even
mention it on
Dwight-
stream.
Even Dwight Tiendali.
No one can.
I think on a free transfer.
I'll put it in private chat.
I know exactly what the story is. It's horrible.
No, I've got a
You've got
funnier
more-
one.
You've got
No,
more,
it's
I was going to say you've got more quality there, in his first summer than the second. A lot of flops. Like Cañas, I think, went back to Spain after a year.
Like, they spent, I get it, John Joe Shelby was a 26-year-old, but that was 6 million literally wasted. Yeah,
he wasn't so
I knew
bad
that
for
was
them,
coming.
to be fair.
Yeah, but he was just dreadful. But that is true. He did do that.
Sorry, I've just seen it. Jesus.
And
Yeah,
yes, that is true.
he really was treading a fine line between lace and all that, you know.
Mhm.
He was finding it. He was finding whether it was lace or line. Really horrible. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would, but I haven't got it on me. Good choice, though. Big Sam laughing is appropriate.
That is very appropriate.
Anyway, rather than talking about the Vale of Glamorgan FC, can we talk about
Hello,
Cardiff?
Simon Jordan.
Yeah.
So we need to get that. That's another banner we need to get it. But
Hmm.
the question is, where do we start? And
The simplest of places. Beat.
the defeat to
Sacking.
Leeds. I mean, I was lucky enough. Well, aside from obviously the really sad circumstances, I was lucky enough not to be at that game on Saturday, and apparently it was an absolute disaster. And everyone knows my opinions on the situation with what happened on the bench. I think it was an absolute disgrace. I did.
Yeah.
I'm 50-50 on the sacking of Erol Bulut for me. On the one hand, he absolutely deserves to be sacked. Worst start in 95 years. 1 goal scored in 6 matches, about 14-15 conceded. Playing
Lost the
some
dressing
horrible
room,
football.
apparently.
Lost the dressing room. Ryan Wintle put in a celebration story up on his Instagram when he got
Yeah,
sacked.
I hate that because
Yeah.
I saw that, and a friend of mine showed me at work, funnily enough, on just a break. They showed me that exact comment, and I was like, I really want to reply, but then I'll have Cardiff fans all over me, and I don't want that. But I was literally going to reply, who invited Pogba to the conversation? That's literally what I was going to comment, but that's what it reminds me of. If you're a manager and you're if you're a football player and you're genuinely celebrating a manager being sacked, then there is something generally wrong with you. Like, even if you never got along with them, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the one thing I've never done, and I will never ever want to do this to anybody, I will never want to celebrate someone getting the sack unless they've genuinely committed a serious crime. Like, if they were actually a nonce, then I would celebrate them getting chucked in the neck. Or if they had battered one of their co-workers, I would celebrate them losing their job, because that is disgusting. But if you're losing it because your players aren't turning up and they're not doing the bare minimum and the coach is something to suffer from this shit, then I won't celebrate that. For me, Ryan Alsop should be, he should have his contract terminated. That's actually my opinion.
mean
If
Ryan
you're willing to celebrate your manager being sacked, you should have your contract terminated. You should be dragged into the office with the chairman or whoever's in charge of contracts and just say, well, I'm sorry, but we're not having that, especially over social media,
Yeah.
where you're seeing your behavior.
Never openly. If you're happy about it, keep it private. Keep it in-house, like really
I
in-house,
agree.
personal.
Keep it exactly. I'm fully on board with that, mate. But I would never openly celebrate
It's
it.
that classic case of footballers get to do what they want with no consequences, whereas everyday people face consequences for that kind of behaviour.
Oh yeah, I mean, my team's transitioning back in a whole new team by 7th October, so I'm going back to a manager I used to have before lockdown. So my current manager's moving to a different team. He's not getting sacked, but he's just being moved. But if in the eventuality that, say, he had been sacked and I celebrated, I wouldn't even get a chance to defend myself. There'd be like complete gross misconduct. Like, goodbye, you're gone. Like, and I've said that on how many shows with you guys? Like,
hundreds.
The footballers can get away with anything, but if we did the exact same thing, we wouldn't even get a chance to defend ourselves. We would be immediately out the door. I use that every single thing. Football is just a job as well. Yes, it's entertainment. Yes, it's enjoyable. Yes, we love it to death. But these footballers need to get gone are the days of humble players. That needs to get beaten back into them. Like, they need humility, because you cannot celebrate someone losing their job. Like,
Absolutely. And to add to the wounds with Ryan Wintle as well, you had loads of other players and former players liking the tweet as well of him getting sacked.
I know, but that comes across really, really
It does.
poor. Like that's disgraceful, and I get it. Bulut lost the dressing room.
Yeah.
He was not a bad manager for Cardiff at all. When you look at it,
I agree.
it wasn't bad. The problem is the players down tooled on him really quickly. Like especially into season 2, you're like, season 1, good foundation. You brought him some decent players. David Turnbull, you spent $2 million on him to bring him in. Like he's not turned up this season at all.
Oh, he's
Adam-
been well. I do give it Turnbull just the benefit of the doubt because he has been stuffed on the bench pretty much. But when he's been there, he has not turned up. But another one I'm going to get before I get to like the Bullet and manager stuff is what do you think of the Ollie Tanner situation as well? Because for me, when you get pumped to a team that's just been promoted, a game that you expect to win after a hard run where you haven't won at all, and then you get arrested in a nightclub after the match.
Same thing as I've said before, but people celebrating the manager. For me, that's gross misconduct. Like, you're a professional footballer. Like, I get it. Everyone's entitled to a nightlife. Everyone's entitled to fun. But that's there's a level of energy that needs to be upheld, and the hilarity as well. Oh, he's like, funnily enough, he plays Will Fish in his final game when he gets sacked. That's quite mad. When you look at it in this way, horrible system as well.
This was basically parking the bus and you're getting sacked. I've never seen Erol Bulut play 5 at the back ever.
That is disgusting. That is horrible. Like, if you're going to play like that, play more offensive, like a more offensive system. But that is disgusting.
I think he's trying to limit the defensive frailties of O'Dowda because O'Dowda's not a left back.
But then again,
just drop him to the bench. But even so, like what I'm going to say as well, and this is
are there many options on the bench though for that spot?
But then
Maybe
again,
not.
Joel Bagan's a left back.
Oh, there you go. And he gets sent off out of position.
Gets sent off, and guess what happened in the last game he played for Cardiff?
Sent off.
Sent off.
Yeah, not somebody you can rely on.
There's the bench.
I think my biggest thing for now as well, when you look at Tanner, also El Ghazi not starting is strange. When
It's
you look
ridiculous.
at he should have been starting that right wing, but Tanner getting arrested in the nightclub though, there's a level of gross misconduct right there, because who knows what else he actually got up to in there. Like I am not for the life of me saying that he has touched anyone up or he's committed a sexual act, but he's went to a strip club. There's an element that he really could have done something worse. Like, and I don't want to think that, but it's possible, especially with the footballers and the money they've got, influence, and getting away with it. Footballers will eventually get away with it.
Oh, they
until
will.
They're really knocked down.
Because the reason that they're proper getting away with it at this club, and I'll get onto the culture problems in a bit because that's the biggest problem at the club, and it's happened for years.
Been vilified for worse. Marcus Rashford's been vilified for worse. It's time to get him go. Oh,
when we're able to make flags like that,
that's not good. That's not good.
And bearing in mind, we haven't even added the likes of Mendes Lang in there either.
Do you really want to?
Oh my god.
For that story as well, when we terminated his contract.
I think personally, and I've got no sympathy for these footballers that behave in such a manner. I would have his contract terminated tomorrow. I would terminate his contract. I don't give a shit about the whole, like, I'm sick of fans who come out with the innocent until proven guilty nonsense.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm sick of that narrative. For me, you misbehave in that sort of club where you're going out when you're supposed to be a professional footballer. Nah, I'm sorry. Like, you're not. This is not your time off. Like, this is you willfully disobeying your club, your manager. But I guarantee, like, if you would have told them, guys, we've had a poor game, we need to get home, we need to recuperate, start fresh the next day. No, he's out busy trying to get the limelight and arse shaking. Nah, I would. Whoever handles contracts at Cardiff needs to seriously terminate his contract. I'm probably
an
the only one that
interesting
thinks that, and I'm probably the only one that's going to come across harsh that way. But I'm not going to double down on my standard when I criticise Marcus Rashford for getting drunk in Belfast. You know, like I'm not going to turn around like that. I'm not going to have a double standard. Nah, terminate the fucker's contract.
To be fair, it is a consistent view, and another thing I'll get onto as well is like
I want to hear
He
devil's
is back
advocate
at-
because normally
yeah.
he's devil's advocate against my point of view. So I'd like to hear what Julio has to say on that.
I would, and then I'll obviously get to the because I've got something important to say as well, which beds into the reason he's completely lost the dressing room.
I look forward to hearing that. But Julio, go ahead.
I mean, I agree with you on the Tanner stuff.
Yeah.
And the consequences stuff. I agree with you with all of that. I mean, because it's, like I said, it's a classic case of footballers getting away with stuff because they're footballers. When obviously everyday people, no, there's no but to that point. There's no
That's
but
good.
to
I've
that
won
point.
then. I've won this time. I'm happy.
In terms of Bulut going, I was amazed at how quickly he lost the dressing room. Especially when the reports came out. Was it over a week ago? Was it last week?
Yeah,
When
it's
the
about a
reports
week
came
ago.
out that he'd
10 days
either
ago, I
be
think.
sacked or he'd be given leads and then sacked. I think tactically it's been quite poor as well. I think last year was very much sit back, take advantage of set pieces, and this year he's trying to play out a lot more, and it's just not been working, and it's been quite poor all round.
It's where they go from here as well. You know, like who do they bring in?
Oh, that's a disaster. That I'll
That's
get
the
onto
problem.
that shortly. That's a section in itself.
Yeah,
That is.
I do want to raise a couple of points about that when.
No, by
Nathan,
all means, kick off, Julio.
Yeah,
go
for it, mate.
Nathan. Like, what are you thinking?
I mean, I think it has to be someone on Nathan. You know my stance always when the team's in this position in the championship, it's go for someone proven, or at least go for someone on merit. Like I criticised the QPR appointment last year of Cifuentes. Now he got them out of trouble. Fair enough. He's got them looking all right. But having said that, I still think the same with Cardiff. But I think the worst part is it's similar to Everton in a way where the size of the club in the league they are, arguably they maybe should be doing better, but they're not because of poor running of the football club.
Yeah.
And everything has been so toxic for so long. They need a manager who can basically everything goes on the manager when the chips are down with Cardiff, no matter what happens. And Bulut lost the dressing room very quickly, which tells me that he's not someone who could galvanise them when the chips are down.
Yeah.
I thought we might have seen something from last season to suggest he would, but obviously this season, the way things went about, it clearly wasn't the case. Really, if Everton sacked Sean Dyche tomorrow, Cardiff should get Sean Dyche. I know that sounds ridiculous, but someone like Sean Dyche was a big enough character who everything bounces off him pretty much.
I think they could. There's just one problem. I don't think they would be able to get his wages, and I'm not sure considering the fact that Everton is the biggest job that Sean Dyche has ever had, like on a historical platform.
This is just based on the assumption they sack him. I don't think Everton sack him right now, but we'll come on to Everton later about that.
I got a theory when he will get the sack though. I think one thing Cardiff don't want to do is Cardiff don't want to revert back to the old-fashioned method of they go back to a Warnock or they go something like that. They have to avoid that.
Someone old school, someone really old. I think you go proven,
like
but you don't go old
levels.
School, like McCarthy or Warnock.
I think
because I think quality of squad. Sorry, I just want to say this quality.
We
of
mentioned
squad,
his name last week. Funnily enough, there is somebody who could get it. There is, funnily enough, one manager I think they could get away with it. The problem is his past allegiance. This thing just screams the need for just a little bit of improvement. There's two managers. One, I theoretically don't think they will get because I'm pretty sure he's employed somewhere, and he's a decent manager. I would say Chris Hughton, but I don't see that happening anyway. The other one, Nathan, is absolutely not gonna like it. but I know, Julio, you would, because I think you would see my thinking. It's just past allegiance. The only other one I would say is Hughes.
That's
Mark
never going
Hughes.
to happen.
I know it won't. I'm just thinking a sense of like, it's a similar sense of it's someone who is old school. Like, he is old school, but he doesn't play old school football. He likes to play
True.
progressive,
Yes.
strong attacking football. Right now, Cardiff really need to see an attacking approach, not defensive and stale and stuck at square one. Chris Hughton isn't a bad manager either. I actually think he's very underrated as a manager, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think the one thing is for sure, we know that Cardiff will not go for Michael Beale, so we're safe.
Tony was linked.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, is there anyone else realistically out there that you would think?
The thumbnail, Reece.
The thumbnail is literally
Yeah, I mean-
the only. Hang
I
on,
mean,
let me show.
Yeah,
Big plans.
I mean, yeah, to a degree. Like, that would be fun. Like, we would all do a Football Manager, but in real life, none of us would want that Cardiff job. We would be like,
Mm.
oh, all right. We would all say no. If we were all,
Well, you say
Well,
that,
he's all
but I
become-
think Nathan would love the opportunity of
he
walking
would
into the
still
dressing
say
room
no.
with a baseball bat and a shotgun and
That wouldn't
a
be
bunch
enough.
of cameras behind him live
That wouldn't be
streaming
enough.
it.
Like, I would walk into the Cardiff dressing room with a taser, and it still wouldn't be enough because this lot are cycles and they're stupid. I think realistically now, when you look at it, Cardiff need to play. They need to play smart. They need to look at not just who's available, but who's actually smart enough to go into that job, will actually make the go of it, and will try to improve them. It's why I suggested those two.
I think
They're
someone
not
who
gonna-
plays efficient football as well, not someone who's
Yeah.
going to come in and play some tippy-tappy football, similar to what Swansea would do, for instance.
So we
Don't
can
go
rule
for-
out certain managers. We can rule out Slaven Bilic. He's already in Saudi, but even
Yeah.
if he was available, Cardiff aren't going for Slaven Bilic anyway. We can rule out Graham Potter because,
That's never going to
frankly,
happen.
ex-Swansea as well. Decent manager, but you're ruling him out.
Because the thing you've got to remember with us as well is our fans absolutely despise possession-based football.
Hmm.
It's not exciting. It doesn't fit into what our fans like. All our fans care about is winning, scoring goals and getting results. If it means it's ugly, it's ugly. We'll support it.
Italian pragmatism.
Pretty
Who
much,
else would
yes.
be perfect for the championship.
Except they're not really going to get much. Let's
Oh,
have a look
no.
at something. I
But
want to have a look at something.
At the end of the
Wait a
day,
wee sec.
in my personal
wait,
opinion, with
wait.
manager, go on.
One minute. I just want to have a look at one little thing.
Mhm.
So there is one manager we all equally respect on this channel. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to suggest that you go and get Daniele De Rossi. I'm not suggesting you go and get Roger Schmidt.
Oh my god,
Those
he's going to say
would be my
Allegri,
dreams.
isn't he? Allegri to Cardiff.
Could you
No.
imagine?
I was actually going to say there is somebody who understands English football, and then there's a contrast between one other manager. Well, there's three managers here, and I just want to get your opinion. And I'm going to start with Julio first. So the three managers I'm thinking of, one's David Moyes, the other's Walter Mazzarri, and the other's Frank Lampard. And I'm not saying that to wind Nathan up either. I'm actually being very serious here.
I'll
I
rule
want
out
mention-
Mazzarri.
I would
will-
not back Frank Lampard even if he joined the club. And there's two reasons for that. One is Chelsea links, and two is Swansea links.
True, but at least in the contrast, if you look at it, at least he is willing to put young players into a position and build a team in that way to make them at least effective.
That's a good point.
Even if he doesn't turn out to be good, it's still smart in that way. I mentioned Walter Mazzarri because yes, Mazzarri, when I've seen him in every other club, he has been hot and cold. But the one thing he has actually generally been good at every club he's been in is at least a defensive structure that actually can build
I
play.
think they'd look
And
at
then
him
David
because
Moyes
of the
is just-
name, the size of the name, and how
Yeah.
recognizable the name is. Because Tan loves a big name.
He does.
I really
That's-
like David Moyes. I don't know if he takes that step down, but
I don't know either. But he's not managed the championship for a very long.
hmm, I think
You're
David Moyes
talking
actually-
20 years plus.
put it this way: if a
If not
bottom half
longer
Premier
than
League
that.
side like Wolves or even Everton sack their managers currently, Moore is good enough to take one of those jobs.
He'll be back at the West Ham job very soon if things aren't. If Lopetegui doesn't play Todibo in defence, and he gets away from that back three. I don't know why he played a back
Oh,
three
it's
against
hideous.
Against Chelsea. That really shocked me. Like
I like those
think-
names. I just don't think any of them are realistic.
David
in
Moyes
a
to
way.
Cardiff would be very interesting though, because David Moyes
I
isn't
like
really
it, but
going to
I don't
ask.
see it happening. That's the problem.
He
I
wouldn't
really
ask for
like
the
the
money.
idea.
I don't think he would ask for the money either, because I think he would go into that and he would go, right, first of all, this team setup is shit.
Yes.
He's going to walk in and say this team setup is shit, and he's going to immediately get them into a balanced setup that actually benefits the attack and the defense all the way through. I think the midfield is probably the one place that David Moyes would look at most of all and say, you know what, the defense is actually okay. The attack is fine. It's just, can we link the two well with the midfield?
Mhm.
He does that. He wins their goalkeeper. Jan Allen is absolutely dog shit.
Oh, to be fair to Anik, he actually had a very good game against Leeds, apparently.
I'm never.
But
gonna-
he's been dropped for ages.
I'm never going to praise Jack Alec. I mean, he played for Rangers and he was shit at Rangers, so I'm not going to praise him. But there's no one else realistically. I mean, I was looking at just list of managers that are
Mhm.
unemployed, and there's so many bizarre names. But you're not going to go
Tony
for anything
Mowbray
big.
It's not a bad name.
It's not a
That's
bad
a
name, but it's
wise
the question
move.
of his health. Because I've seen a
don't
lot
want
on
that on
Twitter
him.
shouting for him, to be fair. But in my personal opinion, when managers, because
He's
obviously,
actually- Oh, don't worry, I'm not going to suggest Klinsmann, but I love Klinsmann, but he's actually available. There's actually two other managers by the looks of it on this list that actually could be available.
Mhm.
So Chris Hughton, funnily enough, is shown as unemployed on this list. I'm looking at transfer market.
nice.
The other
He
one,
was in a director role for Ghana or something.
the
or
other
he's-
one is Kike
I think he's
Sanchez
left there now.
Flores.
Ooh, good shout.
I actually liked how he turned things around for himself when he went to Spain. Now he did get sacked recently, but mind you, he was at Sevilla, and Sevilla
I was
right
going
now
to say Sevilla's a
are.
basket case right now.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
horrendous.
He
Have you
was
seen their
there.
wage bill as well? What they get on the salary cap?
Oh, it's horrible. Who else is available? Let's have a look. Alex McLeish, not
Houghton
really.
is out of a
chance.
job.
Jorge
Chris Houghton
Sampaoli.
is out of a job, yeah. He got sacked by Ghana in January.
Jorge Sampaoli's out of a job as well. Imagine Jorge Sampaoli in English football. I would actually watch that. You know who else is actually out of a job who I haven't seen manage in
Mhm.
quite a while? Gus Poyet.
I'd pay to see that. I'd take him.
I think
But
he's
my-
Greece
Poyet
right now.
would actually be smart.
I think he's been sacked for. Yeah, he's been sacked
He
from
got
Greece.
he got
Hmm.
sacked in March.
Plus, not only that as well, he'd be good to bring in because he can work well with Manasiopoulos, who has been absolutely terrible this season and also didn't shake Bulut's hand
Yeah.
when he got subbed off at the weekend, and also Gutas, who's been horrendous as well. But
They've added Rob Page to this list just to not troll you, but he is on there. Rafa Benitez is on this list.
Nigel
Mark
yeah,
Van
it's
Pearson-
fun.
I think I would have thought
Yeah.
Nigel Pearson would be looked at, but because of the Brizzle links, I don't think it happens.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
see it either.
Club Wells on this list. He's been unemployed for 3 years. Mark Van Bommel because he got sacked
Michael
in the
Beale.
summer. We want to make smart moves, not insulting choices. Patrick
Gareth
Vieira as well.
Ainsworth.
Fatty Teram. Michael Beale,
Ainsworth, I can
popped
see
up.
him taking it.
What about Gary Rowett?
Slavica Jokanovic though.
Ooh,
Jokanovic, really? He's out of a job.
Yeah.
wow.
Luis Scolari's unemployed as well. 75. Felix McGaff is unemployed.
Oh, I
71.
don't want Felix
Jesus
McGaff. No.
Christ.
Oh, no.
What about him? To be fair, I'm not going to suggest Marco Giampolo because he was the predecessor to Pioli. We all know how that turned out. What about? I'm not going to do it to Ranieri, but Ranieri would be a fun shout. To be fair, Cardiff,
Oh, I would.
because that would be exactly what you want, just direct football. But I'm having a look at
Ranieri
these
for the
names.
size of the name. I think he retired.
Mm.
I think that Ranieri retired now.
Yeah, he did his
Yeah.
last job in Italy, didn't he?
Hmm.
Maurizio Pellegrino, no. He's
Oh, no,
crap.
no, 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 no. After that Southampton job, oh my god.
Guess who's on the same? Guess who's literally on the same page as Tony Mowbray on this?
Michael Beale.
No. He's on the same. He's on 3 pages back. On this, not even joking. On this same page, you've got Erol Bulut. Underneath him is Alex Neil.
Oh no.
No.
After that Stoke disaster, no chance.
And on this same page is Leonardo Jardim. I'm actually like he deserves the world, and he's Andre Pirlo as well. He's unemployed as well. It's true. Gary Rowett. Gustavo Leo's unemployed.
Gary Rowett interests me actually as a name to mention.
I actually would like, just for the entertainment purposes, but also it's just very, very smart. Tony Pulis is unemployed as well. Mick McCarthy, same page. Bernd Schuster, same page as him. Rui Faria. No, this is for Cardiff. We're trying to figure out which manager.
Yeah, apparently Reece doesn't like my CV. You've seen the thumbnail, Doug.
It's not that I don't like your CV, mate. I'm trying to find something that's figuratively right. I think David Moyes to Cardiff would actually be really intriguing.
I think
it would be a smart shout.
I think it would work.
Him or Kike Flores Sanchez.
Step down.
I was going to say Igor Tudor, but he's already back employed already.
Yeah, he is. I think with whatever approach we take, look at ever since 2021, the sacking of Neil Harris, it has just been a merry-go-round of an absolute chaotic circus of the constant shocking managerial appointments. I mean, at the end of the day, the next manager has to be someone who's going to stand up and full-on take on Vincent Tan. Because at the end of the day, Erol Bulut was a Mehmet Dalman signing. Tan basically let him take the reins and employ the next manager. Now that Dalman's ultimately made Tan do a massive payout, I can see Tan doing the next appointment, and we all know how that goes. Cheap option from the bargain bin.
Solskjaer back to Cardiff.
Solskjaer, maybe he'll call Steve Morrison in the bath again.
You know what's mad? See if he does bring in Solskjaer now, and he brings him back to Cardiff. It's not Solskjaer from 10 years ago.
It's a more experienced Solskjaer.
A little bit more mature. I actually think, weirdly enough, and I think you might agree, Nathan, I actually think Solskjaer would be better this time.
I don't know.
I mean,
he'd be better, but I
don't think you necessarily need him though. But I think he would be a lot better this time.
He wouldn't get it because championship quality, championship proven. Sorry. And I like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I think he'd be good. But because what he offers is not. He offers really based on what's there. He'll just get on with what's there.
If you do look at managers who would actually bite the bullet and actually fight back.
Doug's just made a great comment. I did want to bring this up.
An excellent choice.
He was actually on my mind.
From Forest. When Cooper went to Forest around this time and took them up. I did want to actually bring this up with you, Nathan.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be a manager around who can turn this around to the point and still get you in towards the playoffs, like we've seen with Cooper.
I would say Flores.
Other managers like, what's his name?
See, I'm not even joking. See if Cardiff.
He's in the MLS. He was at Aston Villa. He took Villa up.
Oh, Dean Smith.
Dean Smith. There we go. Yeah.
Shit, man. He hasn't that.
Goes in around October. Villa in 13th or something. Takes him up in the playoffs.
Here's an interesting.
The thing is with Cooper as well. Even though he's got the Swansea links, you've got to remember his family are all Cardiff fans. His dad's a Cardiff fan. And whenever he did press conferences when we played,
he didn't play hipster football as well.
He didn't. That's why the Swansea fans didn't like him.
If he was approached, I think he'd take it. You can
I
add
think
him
he
to
would.
the if we're looking at,
if he was out of work, that is. If he was out of work, I don't think he leaves a Premier League job Leicester by his own accord.
No way.
Right, so
unless that 2-point deduction hits and they lose like 3-0 at the weekend.
Yeah.
If they sack him, he'll be front in the line for me.
So Steve Cooper. I'm sticking with David Moyes in that list just because I like
think
the
you've
idea
got to put Chris Hughton and Gary Rowett in that list as well.
I've got concerns about this one, but
my last one on the 5. I'm still saying Kike Flores Sanchez just as an outside mad shot. But if Cardiff got him as a manager, Cardiff are automatically be the best team in the league.
I think they've got a very good team, though. That's the crazy thing. I mean, they've got problems at left back, but it's a very good squad. I just think
they've been poor.
He
would fix left back for them. He would fix left back in a heartbeat. Yeah, like Kike Flores-Sanchez is really good with fullbacks and wingbacks, especially when he's coaching them. I actually think when you look at it, I think Cardiff theoretically do need to play a back three, but they need to push their wingbacks into wide midfield roles. And they have to play they have to play a 3-4-3. I don't think Cardiff can get away with playing a 5-4-1. It limits the space they've got. But if they stretch them into a three, they've got a midfield four and they've got a back three themselves. I think Cardiff are right there. And if you put Kike Flores-Sanchez in charge of them,
I think they've got the players for
you
that.
win.
You
win the championship.
I think they've got some good players in to play that kind of system. I think in the
I
midfield
agree.
you've got the likes of Rambo, and then
Ramsey
got players
Turnbull
like-
midfield wins Cardiff the league, in my opinion.
or even next to because you need that. Still need that defensive midfielder like a Siopis in there. But I think
Yeah, I suppose.
when
I
you've
think as well,
got
if you look
players
at it.
like Rinomota who are holding midfielders or defensive midfielders predominantly, but I think would work in a back three.
What if you put Ramsey up front in a Flores system and then you've got a defensive midfielder beside a box-to-box like Turnbull?
Here's what's interesting as well. Even though Ramsey's out injured for 10 weeks again, Bellamy actually played him
surprise.
up front in the Montenegro
was-
game and also against Turkey, and it
And
Is he
worked.
more of a
played
false
okay.
nine in that system?
He was in Bellamy's system, but the same premise sort of applies. Because at the end of the day, Ramsey needs
Apart
pace
from-
around him to work.
Do you know
Apart
what,
from
I think-
apart from one penalty miss, I like Ramsey, but I think now realistically is the time where Cardiff consider maybe they moving him on. I think Cardiff need to consider it so they can actually invest in a new manager at that squad.
The thing
I'm
is,
not saying in a bad way, but I think they
I
have
can't
to
see us
invest.
moving him on because I
No,
think this is
I
a
don't
retirement
either.
job for him, and he's also got a coaching role there,
No, I agree.
and
I
they
think
have
he
long-term
needs
Do you know
plans
what's,
for it.
do you know what's crazy actually? When I look at Reece mentions the 3-4-3, I actually think they should go for a 3-5-2 because I think they've got the focal point striker and they've got enough players who could play next to the
Who,
striker.
drunk Lukaku?
Yes, drunk Lukaku is a focal point. Yes, but I think you've got players like
Notice
El
how he said
Ghazi or
3-5-2
players like
because
Robinson.
El Ghazi in a 3-4-3 though is his best
Oh.
work because the
No,
wing.
No, but I think as the guy, I think in that 2 system, like playing just off drunk Lukaku, I actually think El Ghazi would be quite good. Even Ramsey in that role might not be too bad.
I don't think Cardiff are good enough to play. I don't think Cardiff, realistically, when you look at them, have got any good players that are effectively at number 10. Aaron Ramsey has tried. He's been played at number 10 for numerous clubs
But
and
that's
country, and
but
he's
then
stumped the
maybe
place out.
potentially you get Siopis in the midfield in the holding midfield role, and you've got 2 8s
Yeah.
like Ramsey and Turnbull, for instance,
So
and then
why
you've got
don't
the
you-
wide midfielders.
So instead of a 3-5-2, why don't you make it, even though it's still technically as a 3-5-2, but you just make it the 3-1-4-2? You've just got the one
Yes,
screening player.
that.
Mhm.
If you've got the one
3-1-4-2.
screening player, because I actually think when you look at it, and I'm going to actually bring this up as a point, because when you look at Cardiff, I mean, I don't know the Cardiff squad, so
But
don't
here's
know
the
the
thing:
Cardiff
I
squad, I
think
can't really base
what
it.
that offers is a good balance. You've got wing backs, wide midfielders coming back as wing backs, but then going forward, you've still got numbers forward, and it can be very good and very direct.
no, I think that's fair. I think when
that's
you
fair.
look at it in general, I'm gonna let's
Plus,
see.
a lot of defenders, let's just say Jamlu Collins is not defensively sound, so having him in a wide midfielder wing back role might suit him better.
Yeah,
It
so
could
if
do,
we
to be
theoret- If we theoretically look at it now, don't get upset because of the shirt color, Nathan. I just picked it at random because it's automatic. But good thing is I've changed all my keys now, so when I do literally press S to share screen, it lets me bring up
Oh,
the
that's
tab.
good. That's efficient.
So
Look
if
how
we done
beautiful
that, so
that is.
theoretically
Oh,
that
nice
was
Mhm.
that's what we had before when we mentioned if you play the one holder in there, then you've got, like as you've
Yeah.
said.
That's exactly what I'm
Correctly.
talking
Yeah.
about, Reece.
I do like that now because then you can push up, push back.
Mm.
Theoretically, if you're going to play this system, I would do it in a way like this. Might sound a little bit ludicrous, but I would do it a little bit like this. So
I
once
think
And
that's
even
what-
then, you
I
can
think-
overlap with the
I
centre
think
backs
that's
as well.
what Bulut. I think that's what Bulut tried to do with Bagan,
Yeah.
one
and
little
you
bit
still
higher
can
up
in this
advanced,
system.
I would play one of the box midfielders like a little bit advanced. One of the wing backs is really high up. The other's a little bit reserved.
Yeah,
So you're
the
still
one
playing
that's
the
more
3-5-2, but you're playing
advanced
smart.
would be either
And then you-
Colwill or Rambo.
And this is your key right here, the holding midfielder. They can push up or they can become a sweeper into a back four. But you've still got that one player who's the link-in, and then you've got one key link-up striker, and then you've got drunk Lukaku to miss every single shot. Or
I think that's the biggest problem, the fact that he's playing so many games.
Yeah,
he is crap. Or alternatively, there's your 3-4-3, and it's how you want to play your wingers. Do you play them as wingers, or do you play them in the common thing of do you play them as 2-10s?
The 2-10s would work. The 2-10s I think would actually work.
Because that's what I would do. Like out wide, one of the midfielders is is a 6, the other's an 8. These are wide midfielders. You got your back 3 who will go up and down. These guys will do the business of attack and defend. An advanced position.
The way the squad is, I think it would work like this. Whether it be a 3-4-3 or the 3-1-4-2, I think that with the players they've got, the players they're lacking. So they're lacking a proper sound left back. With the wide midfielder wing backs, you nullify that problem on the left hand side. Whether you've got a defensively ill-disciplined left back like Jamilu Collins or an out of position Callum O'Dowda.
And horrendously out of position Callum O'Dowda as well.
Exactly. So you're almost like helping limit the frailties there.
There's also this option as well, lads. You've got stretch centre backs, the midfield 4 with the 10, and then you got the 2. I like the way the Danish. I like the way that Denmark specifically do it, because one of them is a natural 6, one's an 8, and then you've got your 10 to just dictate for these 2 big bastards up front. I think Cardiff theoretically need to look into that in that way, but they need a manager who's good enough. Would they do it?
That's a good shout, because even then, where the number 4 is, we can still play Perry NG there.
Yes,
because he's defensively sound and that works.
You could pay Perry on the 8 as well.
You could.
He'd be really good there.
I think Julio.
But I think Perry has played as a right centre back in a back 5 under McCarthy.
I think
he did. Yes. Yeah.
True.
I mean, I think for me personally, I'd go with 3-1-4-2 personally, because I
think you are right.
It gives this midfield solidity, but
I would hate to see them play like a 3-5-2 like this.
Yeah, I was talking about the 3-1-4-2. The 3-1-4-2, you've got to have a 6 in there with 2 8s, in my opinion. It gives that defensive solidity in the midfield.
Inzaghi type system, which is really clever. Like that type of 3-1-4-2 is clever. Or if you play either way, it's one of those two, and it's been done.
Even Conte had something along these lines at Inter.
Yeah, they're good, right? This would be my preference. But if you've got a really good holding midfielder, absolutely play this. If you don't have a good holding midfielder, you've got to go with this.
Yeah,
and you use these guys effectively. And it's just how you move these guys in midfield. And you don't want this guy isolated. But Cardiff in a 3-4-3, Cardiff in a 3-1-4-2, I would pay to watch that. I would. I'd paper, actually like it.
Based on what they have, I think it would work. I don't know if a manager comes in and actually implements that. But when you look at, like I've already said, the big problems at left back, you've got 2 players fighting, 2-3 players fighting for left back who might not be sound at left back. So you push them up, and then you put someone behind them almost in that left centre back that helps them.
This is why they shouldn't have that's why they shouldn't have let that guy go. Oh well, that's him getting sacked then.
Wow.
Like, that's that official then. Once a fan confronts you,
if Cardiff went for Steve Cooper, it's a very good idea.
Amazing.
If you bring in Steve Cooper right now, that's your back 3 sorted.
Oh, it is.
Because that's how he went with Forest.
Look at the way he played it with Swansea as well.
Yeah, it wasn't just it was a good setup at Forest.
Swansea play. Who the thunk?
I know. Oh, that'd be an incredible signing. But
at least
I think at the end of the day,
my first career mode in FC 25.
There you are. Only a few more days to go now, isn't it? But I think the biggest concern
with Cardiff first, and I was thinking of moving to a back 3. So Now
it's
I've
a
got
good
Reese's
it's a
approval,
good
I'm
idea,
sad.
to be fair, and it'd work well. But unfortunately, the only concern I have, I think, is just going to be a rinse and repeat cycle. Sadly, because at the end of the day, until the board goes and we have an ownership change, it's going to be just the same. They
If they
don't
listen
know
to
how
the
to run
fans,
things
then you've got
properly.
If they
I
listen to
worry
the
though-
fans,
Do you know what? I
The
worry
fans
you end
clamour
up
for it.
with the interim manager for the rest of the season. That's my biggest worry.
And mine. Because at
If
the end of the
Cooper
day, we
gets
did it a
sacked,
few
then the fans-
seasons ago with
It's true.
Hudson.
yeah. I think the interesting thing though is if he is to be sacked though, Cardiff fan groups, if they really do get loud energy for Steve Cooper, then you've got something there. They'll have to listen. I mean, this is a manager theoretically that if every single Cardiff fan, the fan groups are actually clamouring for, then there's a reason, you know? You can't not ignore that. If your top fan groups are saying, no, get this guy, this is actually what we need to turn it around. And it's somebody that Bulut didn't have much of an issue with language barrier. He was actually okay with that. But Steve
Oh,
Cooper
you're straight to the
recently
point.
yeah, Steve Cooper at least can walk in and say, well, I don't have the same problem either, but I'm a little bit more, I can explain my methods a lot easier on a more variety.
Mhm.
I think as well, is one thing he would look at as well, is he would look, Steve Cooper's actually got a good record with when it comes to British players as well. I think he could probably get a few young British players into your squad as well to give him a little bit more of a feel factor. I think that might actually help as well when you look at it. Like you need a core factor that understands like the country and understands the football. Then you add in the exuberant, entertaining foreign players. I think if you get that right, you're going somewhere. Provided they're good pros, and it's the same for any British player you bring in. You want to make sure they're good pros. But I think the one thing Steve Cooper's got as well is he's got connections to other clubs. I think you could see him potentially bring in some players who might be on the fringes. There's one player I think that Cardiff could get. He's still a free agent that would actually improve wing back. Although to be fair, you'd have to have a life supply of helium. I could see he's bringing in Brandon Williams,
Yeah, I could probably see that as well.
and that's left back sorted. If you want to play the inverted paedophile shit that
Or-
managers do these days.
Even Harry Toffolo at Forest, especially if you get Cooper in,
Another
like
good
on
shout.
a,
Or
on a 6-month loan in January.
get both.
Mm.
Get Williams and Toffolo, to be
It's
fair.
possible.
Hmm.
I think
Well, one's still a free agent.
you should definitely get loads of like reserve Prem players.
Yeah, really
To
improve.
be honest,
If
that's what we
get-
need.
If Cardiff can get Steve Cooper plus 4 or 5 reserve Prem players in January,
You'll be fine.
you finish in the top 6 of the Championship. If it gels. You'll be in the playoff places with Steve Cooper if you give him the job.
Just depends how soon that happens.
If he gets sacked this weekend, for example, and he's in the Cardiff job by Monday, then they've got a really good chance.
I genuinely hope he gets sacked by Leicester now, but yeah, aside from that, moving swiftly on, Julio, it's your part of the show.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's talk about Everton, as we love to on this podcast.
We do.
Firstly,
Mhm.
Nathan,
Yes.
suddenly the fans are
Mhm.
clamming for a hipster manager.
The thing is, I've said it for years, and it's going to keep happening again and again and again. Look what happened when you got right up the table under Sam Allardyce. The Everton fans were like, "Ooh, we're not keeping enough possession. We hate the style of play." Yet it was effective.
Mhm.
And then they switch it up.
They bring in like the greatest manager.
They bring in like some Marco Silva and stuff with a better style of play, and it turns into an absolute disaster. This is what Everton keep shooting themselves in the foot. They'll only back something if the football's pretty. Like they're the same than the hipsters down west. Oh, I'd rather us lose and play pretty football than win ugly.
Do you know what the worst
It's
part about that is,
horrifying.
Nathan? Do you know what the worst part about that, I think, is the fact that they were asking for it, they were talking about it after losing to Southampton in the Cup.
Yeah.
Firstly, it's a cup game. You shouldn't care. And secondly, it's literally a team that plays possession football and has had money pumped into it to play possession football. It got them up and it's going to send them back down. How can you sit there and ask for more possession against a tippy-tapper team with playing Jack
ridiculous.
Harrison, Dwight
It's
McNeil?
also possession
week in, week
football
out.
that's been done wrong. Like possession football where there's no emphasis to actually go and completely control a game and dominate a team. It's just we're going to keep the ball and hope that eventually the ball goes in the net.
At the end of the
exactly.
day,
That's the wrong
Russell
type of
Martin's possession football is just way too over the top. It's just like control it and don't lose it.
It's actually more boring than Van Gaal's idea of possession football.
Oh, it's
Because at least Van Gaal actually wants a team to win. You know, like people get bored of Pep Guardiola's teams because they'll just pass you to death. But they're actually doing what matters when it comes to possession football. They're actually trying to win the game and effectively still maintain control of the ball. Whereas Russell Martin's teams are literally we're just going to bore you to death regardless, and we're not going to play football.
Or we'll go 1-0 up
suck.
and then we'll just pass it forever. We'll just pass until the game's over. Keep it 1-0, bish bash bosh.
And that is what cost you the end of the season.
Not massively.
Because your rivals will be trying to score 2-3 goals a game, and they're still winning matches. If you're winning matches 1-0 all the time, you're not going to survive the Prem.
No, it's just pointless.
Yeah, because your goal difference will still cost you.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, that's where Everton are going to get hit. Say, for example, if Sean Dyche goes, even if they're in the relegation zone, hipster manager comes in, squad just will not work at all. They're going to get overloaded at the back on the counter attacks and finish bottom.
I think
Like
that's
Sean
the other
Dyche
thing.
kept them up last season.
I think the other thing to remember,
the reason
as
they
well,
did.
yeah, he kept them up, and without the points deduction, they'd be higher up in the league. And
They would have
I remember
finished
when they
10th.
got the points deduction, and they had Chelsea Newcastle visit, and they played them off the park, playing aggressive football, and it was all about aggressive ball retention, quick, get it up the other end. It was very direct, and I know people were talking about the Liverpool comments Dyche made, and they're like, "Oh, it was different against Liverpool, against Southampton." Yeah, but you've played well this season, but you've just played so many good teams. Once you get that first three, yes, maybe they should have beaten Leicester. Yes, they should have held the leads against Bournemouth and Villa. But when you look at their start, like I said a couple of weeks ago, they've played some very good teams. And once they conceded, everyone knew the other team was going to win. And I just don't like how toxic it's gotten. I think it's ridiculous, but
It's shocking.
I think the
it's
name
stupid.
as well. The name, like, first of all, the owners that are taking over the club, the Friedkin group, have just sacked their manager at Roma as well.
I did want to
Right.
ask you about the Friedkin group, about what they've been like at Rome and what can we expect for them at Everton.
Well, one thing they have shown is they are at least willing to spend. I mean, they spent big in the past couple of years on that Roma team. But they've spent big to bring in some really big names to rejuvenate the squad, to take it places. The problem is they did back out. Like, obviously they backed out Mourinho because it's in the Mourinho cycle, but then they backed out De Rossi because of the poor start to the season. They went and immediately brought in a manager quickly without realistically looking around. I think they've just went straight in for the appointment. I think that's the only thing on them is, like, maybe they've got they did have a good result the weekend, but I think it's just too quick of an appointment. I think they've not scouted the manager network enough, because there's a lot of good free agent managers out there. They could have got a lot better than what they've done. I think Sean Dyche will be sacked by Christmas anyway. I think he'll be out the door at Christmas. I think that's when they'll effectively.
That's the worrying thing.
Yeah.
When links about Potter and Southgate are coming out.
I think Southgate would be
It's
an
worrying.
absolute stupid appointment, but I think Potter. I'm not a fan of Graham Potter in the slightest, but I actually think Graham Potter, to a degree at least, would be interesting enough to see at Everton.
If they spend,
Yeah.
I think the one thing that Potter would at least do is he would get them straight into a more different kind of structure where he doesn't have to change the whole system to make them play better. He just needs to give them a little bit more license to be a little bit more creative, and I think they would be. It wouldn't need to be a massive change. They just have to look at the players that they've got and say, well, who can we effectively move out now and improve on, and just be a little bit more free in that way. I don't think they're the managers they need. I think it just seems inevitable they're going to pick one. I think what they should do, though, is look for a manager who is going to be still aggressive and direct, but it'll play good football. And
would you put Moyes on that list, having been at the club before, having known the club, having shown what he did at West Ham as well?
I would say not now. Purely, like, Moyes is a good manager. I think the problem for him is it's a big change going from Dyche ball to Moyes ball, where I don't think the Everton fans have been moaning recently. I think they would moan if it went back to Moyes anyway.
They would.
I think, to be honest with you, I think they should just not moan. Like, what did you expect? Dyche has come in and he's. I don't know if you guys remember what Everton were like 20 years ago, but when Moyes took over, they were bad, and it took them a few years.
They were about to get relegated. They were about to get relegated.
And it took them a few years and shoestring budgets to eventually cook the way they did under Moyes in terms of challenging for Europa League pretty much every year. Dyche can take them there, playing his way. It's just Everton fans are being impatient, and I actually think it's ridiculous.
It is.
I think there is some interesting managers that are on the free agent market that will go to bigger clubs, but it would be interesting if Everton can tempt them. Like the likes of Koi Kinchao still on the free agent list. The likes of Kiki Setchin's on the list. He's a decent manager. Like Kiki Flores Sanchez, to be fair, walking to Everton would be quite an interesting move as well. I think when you look at it, Everton need to get a manager who will play good attacking football, but will understand that they need a defensive shape, but they'll actually play good football. I'm just not sure.
Sorry, just to cut in, I think the other thing they're forgetting is the fact that Michael Keane is playing in defence for a lot of these games. Like Jared Branthwaite, the only thing we've seen from him this season was a goal line clearance today in a youth team game. And their new signing O'Brien has been embedded in carefully, not thrown in.
I think
the Everton defence will eventually get solid, but Michael Keane and Mikalenko was the reason they lost to Bournemouth.
They need to stop playing Keane now. Just like Lopetegui needs to start playing Todibo, Everton need to stop playing Michael Keane regardless. He just
There's players still that need to come into this team, because Everton are one of those teams where they have their spine, and without that spine, they're screwed. I know it's the same with every team, but a lot of teams
for them
further up the leagues, even around them, you can take a player out for 1 or 2 games, and you can and someone else will come in. It won't be as bad.
I have a weird outside mention of a name as well for Everton, which would be a bit of a weird one. But he has managed a club similar level in terms of even though Everton have got a lot of great history, but they are effectively a mid-table to lower table club at the moment because they've just been getting it wrong since backing on Ancelotti. What would you think of someone like Patrick Vieira at Everton?
No.
Now we know it didn't go well in the second season at Crystal Palace. Let's be real.
I know.
But the first season actually did go really well.
I'll tell you why.
Because I think he'd just get that small new manager bounce for me, but it's
he's not someone
Everton,
who can pick it up when it's down.
Yeah.
At Palace, it was down and he couldn't pick it up.
And he doesn't have a plan B either.
Galvanize. Can you imagine Graham Potter going into this Everton atmosphere? Like one fan shouting, "Fuck off, Potter." Can you imagine what he's going to be like to that? It's going to be awkward in the press conference afterwards. Like, well, we tried. We gave it our best. No, this team needs a character, like a club.
You said a character. You said a character. Well, let's suggest this. You said character, so here's one. What about Rudy Garcia?
Pretty good shout.
He is a character, but he does play good football.
Do you know what? I don't know what it is, but because of the name, I could see it. Even if it was still Mashiri.
Just look at the clubs he's managed as well, where character comes in, and he did manage Roma for quite some time as well. He's managed He's managed Marseille. Fuck them.
I think as an
It's not-
outside choice, I see it happening. It wouldn't be my first choice, but I think as an outside name on a short list of 5, I think it's something worth considering. But being in this position, I still think it has to be someone a bit more tried and tested. One of which being the guy that they currently have.
I think they could do a lot better with Deitch if they just let him go. Not let him go, sorry, if they just let him go in the way where they actually will spend on him. The one thing that he's never realistically done is he's never spent money and actually tried to be a more entertaining style. It's always just been the same. Imagine they pumped like say 150 million into that squad, and he went, guys, we're actually going to be a little bit more aggressive. We're actually going to play more on the front foot. We're actually not going to sit back and be deep defensive anymore. We're actually going to go and play some good football.
I don't think he can afford to. I mean, if he has all his best players in the team, yeah, I think he can. But I think he tries to do that in some matches, and the problem is it doesn't work when you got the likes of Michael Keane playing every other week. Do you know what I mean?
That's why I'm saying when you pump 150 million in that squad.
Yeah, I think if they keep Deitch and if the owners are willing to spend, I really want to see them spend in January. I want them to get a really good left back, a proper left back.
Yeah.
There's evidence to suggest that they can turn it around. See if he gets
There's
sacked.
plenty of evidence. The manager.
There's another name. There is another name as well if he gets sacked, and he's potentially depends on how it goes at his other club, which is because I think they'll eventually enter their villain arc soon because they're a clown club anyway. But what if Eddie Howe doesn't last long as Newcastle manager?
Do you know what? I wouldn't be against Eddie Howe, even though he went down with Bournemouth. Of what he did when he went into Newcastle, big club, very toxic at the time, money to spend in January. But it's just what he did, even away from that money. He worked with what he had, and he improved it significantly.
And it's also how quickly he got him into the Champions League as well. I know the rest of the Premier League wasn't that good. Yeah.
But I think it's the fact that he made like
a good 4-3-3 system as well. Like
I think what was I going to say? It was about there was one point where Isak, Saint Maximin, and someone else weren't playing because Longstaff, Wilson, and Almiron were in insane form.
Joe Linton.
Exactly.
Yeah, Joe Linton.
So
he's actually got a similarity right there. He's actually got a player similar right there at Everton, Decore.
Exactly.
And you know,
Decore
well,
has been playing in that kind of behind the striker role a lot.
What I can see as well, if he went into Everton and he played that same 4-3-3, theoretically, the one thing he's going to do is he's going to get the midfield balance right, because Eddie Howe's really good at getting midfield balance. He's going to get the right kind of defenders at the centre back positions. He's going to improve the fullbacks. Pickford is actually going to get a little bit more stability, and Pickford's going to be able to get a chance because he's done really well with Pope in goal. Like, he's improved Pope massively as a goalkeeper. He would improve Pickford even though Pickford is a clown. But you actually look at the wing options that Everton have as well. Now, obviously, they don't have Gordon anymore, but Eddie Howe specifically wanted Anthony Gordon. And actually look at Everton, like the type of wingers that maybe Eddie Howe can improve or replace. He would find a replacement for Onana quite quick as well. Because they've struggled with that. Now, I don't think he's Man United level. He's not Man United level like everyone thought that Onana is. But he is good enough to move into a club like that eventually. But he would be able to at least find somebody capable of replacing some of that because they've struggled. I actually am now in the idea of Eddie Howe as the Everton manager at some point. I actually wonder how that would go. They would back him as well.
Even if Deitch stayed and the results improved, even further down the line in a couple of years, when the ownership decided, right, financially we're settled, the football club is settled, the team is settled, Sean Dyche, thank you. When your contract runs out, we won't be renewing it. And
we're not going to sack you either. Yeah, we're not going to sack you. We're just going to let you go. Out of respect.
Run the contract down, yeah.
Because when you look at that's a problem these days as well, is managers are just being let go in the worst way when they should be giving them more respect. Like Sean Dyche, for all his football, is, to be fair, it's not my cup of tea. People are going to be like Simeone, and I was like, yeah, but that's because they play better. But when you look at Dyche, he isn't somebody who realistically deserves to get sacked by Everton either. And I think the fans that are demanding him to be sacked, bear in mind that you guys turned on Ancelotti. Like, you guys turned on the greatest manager you have ever had, top 3 managers of all time. You turned on this guy. You don't deserve anything. Like, you absolutely don't deserve anything.
There's never any patience from him.
Who they get next, I'll be intrigued to find out. I'm intrigued. I think Eddie Howe would be an interesting shout if Newcastle eventually let him go. Because eventually they will look for their elite upgrade manager that everyone is expecting. I don't know who Everton could go for. I mean, apparently Joachim Low wants to come back to club football. That would be an insane pull.
That would be ridiculous.
But, I mean, I don't know how I would cope watching that after what he put me through a couple of years ago when he betrayed me. But I'm eager just to see what they do. Kike Flores Sanchez is another weird shot. I've mentioned him a few times already tonight, but I would be up for that as well, for the fun impact of, okay, who do we get? And I'm looking at other names as well, like Klinsmann, by the way, is available still. Like, I'm looking at this whole list. Maurizio Sarri, we're coming on to him very soon. Now, I said other clubs should avoid him, but I don't know if Everton should. I think he might suit Everton. Lucien Favre.
Be a good shout.
I think it's a good shout if everything wasn't as in turmoil and there was a clear recruitment.
There was a
structure.
vision there, yeah, as well.
Could you imagine Jorge Sampaoli at Everton?
That'd be
Not gonna lie,
awesome.
Everton fans would actually realise why he is Bielsa, in disguise, because he's the exact same thing. They would actually, their players would be worked beyond the bone. Actually, I'm all for it. That's why I like it.
That's one thing we have, aside from Sean Dyche, that's one thing we haven't seen from Everton players. Maybe a little bit under Ancelotti as well, but where their legs just ran off.
I'm still looking, seeing who's still available, just out of entertainment. Next page. Aitor Karanka, that'd be funny.
Jesus.
That'd be a disaster.
Cardiff shout. Championship proven-ish.
Oh, he'd get us relegated with the squad we got.
Christian Buki's a manager still. I thought he had retired. Adrian Muto, yeah, he got sacked in April. Akolani's still available. Paul Lambert's been available for 3 years. That'd be funny.
That'd be diabolical.
I think his I think he's done. I think his race is run, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm still looking. I'm not giving up on this yet. I'm nearly at the end. Right, last page. Give me nothing there. So let's go back quite a while. Actually, you know what makes sense for Everton as well? He's on the same page, funnily enough, as Sergio Koikenchao and Roger Schmidt, who I said earlier on. How would you rate Niko Kovac at Everton? Now, it didn't work at Bayern, so let's just forget the Bayern thing for a moment. But when you look at what he did before Wolfsburg binned him and Frankfurt,
I want to say yes, but 4 years ago, so around the time they appointed Ancelotti, I think that would have been perfect with the team they had then.
That's reasonably fair.
I just think for a manager who's managed at those kind of clubs, I don't think they've got the pull right now as the first manager of the new ownership with the squad that they have.
Yeah. I'm interested to see where the likes of Tuchel and Terzic go as well. I know Terzic is obviously a Milan job favourite, but Fonseca...
Yeah, Tuchel's going to be an interesting one, because at the moment, I genuinely don't see where he goes.
There's no way Allegri goes Everton, so I'm safe. I don't have to see Everton ruin my enjoyment. I don't want to see Everton ruin the great man. I don't see it being Maurizio Sarri. I've got a few ideas about him. It won't be Klinsmann. Cannavaro, no, that would make sense. Jorge Sampaoli would just be so much fun. It would be like Bielsa's Leeds, but a whole more aggressive option of a man who really don't want to get on the wrong side, because Sampaoli would genuinely stab you. I think it's quite obvious, lads. It's either going to be... It'll either be Garcia... It'll either be Rudy Garcia or be Graham Potter.
I think it'll be Potter, personally.
Mm.
I don't think it's the right call sacking Sean Dyche, to be honest. Unless
give you a
results
massive
don't
mistake.
turn around by November. But I think it will be Potter that they go for.
It would be a massive mistake.
I tell you what, if we're going to talk about mistakes, I don't understand how Fonseca's still there. I know he won. I know Milan won yesterday.
Played them off the park.
They deserved it. My older brother, Inter Milan fan, he said to me yesterday, they win the derby, we win the league. That's how it goes. But they deserved it yesterday for Milan.
Yeah. When you look at it as well. Yeah. The Sunday night, yeah. Milan played them
I
off
couldn't
the
believe
park.
it. I couldn't believe it.
4-4-2. Morata played second striker. It seems to work really. It worked really well. My only concern, I still think Milan should still sack Fonseca anyway, despite beating Inter. That should be his thank you, you've done the business, now go. Because irrespective of that, he still hasn't, in my opinion, done enough to say I deserve to be the Milan manager. You need to have a certain level of experience, swagger, trophy haul, or at least have done enough in the game to suggest it. Not won trophies at Shakhtar. Like, I can walk into Ukraine, not be scared of the Russians, still win trophies and say I still don't deserve to be the Milan manager. Like, that is not for me.
It's clear what the Reece. It's clear what the appointment was. I found it very interesting how Zlatan talked about a winning mentality, and there were heavy links to Conte, and then Fonseca, who would probably get you top four every year,
and the Allegri return as well. Like, it was proven Italian managers that know how to win trophies. And
I was really disappointed that they didn't go for Conte, and I was still disappointed they didn't get Allegri in. And then when they got Fonseca in, I knew he looked good in pre-season, but I just sat there and thought, yeah, I know it's pre-season, but it's like, it's just, I still don't understand. It's not an appointment that says winner. Milan are going to go and win.
Yeah, when you look at who's available on the market, like the top two favourites the four commanding favourites for the job, it's Sergio Koikenchao, it's Maurizio Sarri, it's Max Allegri, and it's Edin Terzic. When you look at that,
names of which that you were we've discussed and you're open with.
Yeah,
I mean, the best option at the end of the day would be Allegri.
Yes,
but when you
want to.
I think the most likely is Sarri, actually, after mine and Reece's discussion. But yeah, sorry, Reece, carry on.
I think the one thing that has to be looked at as well is Terzic is very young, but he's got a very aggressive style as a manager. So those players will work hard. They'll be expected to play in a certain system. It'll be creative. It'll be high press, and it'll look to dominate on the pitch. And you're going to score a lot of goals and create chances. The problem is Terzic has only won 2 trophies, so that doesn't go in his favour compared to Sarri, who's won the Europa League. He's won Coppa del Rey. He's won not Coppa del Rey. He's won the Coppa Italia. He's won Serie A. So he's got a little bit more plus a league title, and he knows how to do that. And he's built 2 title-winning teams. One that was already a title-winning team. He built another one, his own version, and he built a team that nearly won the league in record fashion. And he won Europe with a Chelsea team that was hot and cold.
Yeah.
Allegri's won with 2 of Serie A's giants. He's won Serie A titles. He's won Coppa Italias. He's won Supercoppas. He's went to the Champions League final twice. Unlucky to lose both. He has that in his locker, and he knows how to develop players as well. And Koikenchao is absolutely brilliant at Porto. But I think that would just seem the sense of Milan of like, well, they've looked at Inter, Koikin Chow's an ex-Inter player. Are you really going to go and bring an ex-Inter player just because they've won a treble with Mourinho? It won't work. But I would actually like to see him develop that way. I think as well, if Mainan gets sold, because obviously Mainan's another thing where he may end up going the next couple of years, I could see Diogo Costa being his replacement if they go and get Koikin Chow. But that's only if they get him as a manager. I think the wiser move, though. Yeah. I think Milan, realistically, if they got Sarri, it kind of feeds well to when you look at past moments like Milan possession but still dominate attacking style under Ancelotti, the same way under Capello, the same way under Sacchi, where they dominate the ball but they also attacked at lightning speed and they also really forced teams into mistakes and turnover. Allegri's the same way but it's more pragmatic, whereas Sarri's more of that orientated press and control. And obviously players will improve in terms of their hold-up ability and their passing as well, and their vision will be more affected. I think that might be the best option. For me, it's between Sarri and Allegri. I think Milan do better with an Italian coach than anything else. They haven't won with a foreign coach since 1979. I don't think that duck will ever end. I think it's Italian but good, Italian core with smart foreign players. And I think another thing is letting Milan down is Milan don't have a lot of good Italian players in that team. So that has to change as well. They need to bring in some Italian players, like losing out on Calafiori, losing out on Buongiorno, not going for Scalvini. They don't have any Italian midfielders.
Xerxes as well.
Left.
I know Xerxes not Italian, but he's another player that they missed out on in the summer.
Yeah. Missed out for Tessie. To Inter as well. Like it's a rundown where they need to look at. I think that's something Sarri would look at. He would look at Italian players again and who can we effectively bring in. I think Sarri might be the right move.
I think Sarri's the most likely of the names you mentioned. If Fonseca was to go, I don't see Fonseca going anytime soon, annoyingly, but
I
I
think
would like...
the next defeat won't turn it around.
Do you know what it is about Allegri?
Commands respect.
I think, well, he's been there and done it before, and I feel for him in the fact that I remember how high his stock was in 2019, and I refuse to believe that he was away from Juventus for 2 years, came back, and suddenly was washed from day one.
I agree. I think they chose not to do that to him, but Juventus couldn't afford to sack him at the time.
I just want to... I think what doesn't help Allegri is the way, even though Juve were planning without him, what they said and how they went about his sacking, where they used his outburst in the cup final as to say...
We spoke about that. Yeah, that pissed me off the way they done
That's
that.
ridiculous.
He got annoyed by the referee and who was cheating his team, even though they won the cup. They were getting cheated in that final, and the referee was clearly on the Lazio side. That's disgusting. That is disgusting. You can't do that. Even if it's Juventus, and we know Juventus are a crooked club, if you're deliberately cheating and you're doing it in front of Allegri, he's got every right to come at you. You can't then go and sack him saying it's not Juventus behaviour. Well, it is.
Because the thing is, Reece, we said then they were already for months. There were reports that Motta was getting the job, and it was almost like that was their excuse to sack Allegri. It's like, great, we've got an excuse that we can get rid of him now. I really want to see Allegri. You raise actually a good case for Sarri, because I wasn't sure when you first mentioned it, but obviously in discussion and obviously thinking about it, I do like that. I do like that idea. But with Allegri, I've just got this kind of, I want him to go into Milan as his comeback project. The problem is, I don't see Milan backing him as much as they should.
I think the one thing is that he would get back because of Zlatan. I think Zlatan would genuinely back him, and then you've got the element there.
Yeah.
I think
it just depends how strong Zlatan's influence is on the board, because he wanted Conte and Allegri, and they didn't hire him. They didn't hire any of them. So it's that kind of, if he's got a good enough influence, then hopefully, that would work. I think Zlatan being there would be great in Allegri's corner if he's got the job. But I just don't. I think Milan have tried to, save money where they can, try and be as fiscally responsible as possible. And I feel like over the years they should have done more in terms of squad investment. I think as good as Loftus-Cheek is, I think going as summer and signing Chelsea rejects the way they did wasn't the best idea in the world. I know Pulisic's done okay there. I know Loftus-Cheek is a very good player anyway, but in the grand scheme of things, seeing Tonali leave, missing out on quality players like they do every year, Pioli lasting as long as he did because of they won one league title with Zlatan in the dressing room as an influence in that dressing room, running off those fumes and being as top 4 friendly as possible, if you know what I mean. It seems Milan just want to focus on finishing in the top 4, which for a club the size of Milan, I know they went the 2010s wasn't good for them in terms of league finishes, and it's almost like they've gone, right, well, let's steer away from that and get someone who can keep us in the top 4. But you do that by winning leagues, which I know sounds stupid, but you need cups, you need leagues. And with the way Serie A is right now, the way we'll come on to Inter in a moment, but just the way they've been in financial ruin, and the way they're just rebuilding their squad, buying players, selling them for profit, and bringing in some not the summer just gone, the year before's business was sensational. The likes of Jan Sommer and Marcus Thuram on a free, Pavard for about 20 million quid. These are very good signings. And I think Milan, I think because there's not a lot of money in Serie A, obviously Serie A clubs are trying to do that as best as they can, but they just haven't done it as well. And I think Inter, pound for pound with their squad, I think there's a lot of better players in certain positions than others. I just think that Milan don't have the manager or the personnel on the board to win the league currently. If they get the manager, they might be able to shithouse their way there a bit with Allegri, but I think it's seeming very average, and I don't like it. I predicted them as one of my flops in the Champions League this year on a predictions show I did last week, because I just don't see Fonseca doing the business, and I think Milan will be very disappointing.
It annoys me to my core, but I have to admit that I agree. I think Milan generally will not show up, and it's just the element that they have to get rid of, and Fonseca doesn't command that kind of respect for me. He just does not command that level of respect, and I think Sarri or Allegri make more sense.
It's not going to pick up.
Yeah, I think personally the smart move for them is 100%. It's Allegri or Sarri. I think it's the right way to go.
I think Sarri will be their most cost efficient, but then in a few years we're going to see Sarri lose the plot at the board.
Oh, definitely.
I think we'll see that.
But the interesting thing is,
Sarri will get himself sacked.
The one thing that he'll do
from a bust up with him, for me.
I think the interesting thing though is Sarri would be cost effective, but your midfield would be absolutely overhauled and improved. You look at the quality,
and he'd be doing this with his head as well. As a former banker, I think he'd have a business plan in his head about recruitment. I think he'd be great with that as well.
You look at the players that he'd be able to improve. You look at what he did at several different clubs. Could you imagine Yusuf Fofana playing under Sarri? Not gonna lie, right there's your blend, right there. He's got. There's still. I think Benacer's going to be sold next summer, even though it's a shame. His injuries is really affecting him, but he's still a good player. If they sell him decent bit of money, go out and get some Italian players. I think they really want Salvatore Ricci from Torino. I really do like him. That makes a lot of sense. That's a holding midfielder in. That's Italian straight in. I think they need to get a left-sided midfielder because Pepega is pish.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good young but more direct options in the league that they can work with, and Sarri would really improve them instantly. There's something there. Like there's something that he could realistically do, and I'm intrigued. Like I am intrigued. And even then, he would look at the Premier League. He wouldn't look at Chelsea, but he would look at the Premier League and see who he could sign. I think the one thing that Milan need to do if they were to bring in Sarri is, are they going to play with the diamond, or are you going to play with the midfield three? Whichever one works. The one thing he needs to get right is who's going to be that regista role. Who's going to play that holding midfield role? Because it needs to be somebody who can not just pass the ball, but is good at shuttling about. You know what would surprise me as well? Sarri, if he gets the chance, if he gets the money. It wouldn't surprise me if he tried to tempt Jorginho to leave Arsenal and go to Milan.
I was thinking the same thing. I see that happening. I really do.
And I would be all for it. Even though he's into his early 30s, Jorginho at AC Milan, you've got the passer they need right there. And I still think Tonali will return to AC Milan the next 2 years. Tonali under Sarri actually gives me the fear. Like, the fear in a good way. Like, fuck, imagine this guy could cook.
Oh, it'd be insane.
It would be unreal. Like, a midfield, like, if he plays a diamond, your midfield right there, it depends on if he plays Pulisic in the 10, but say he plays Loftus-Cheek in the 10, his midfield could literally be Jorginho, Tonali, Fofana, Pulisic or Loftus-Cheek, and then Leao is one of the wide forwards with either Morata or Abraham up front, and then you've got Francisco Camarda to get promoted from the youth side into the main team. Oh, I'm having a dream. I'm actually intrigued. I would give it to Sarri or Allegri, but I think Allegri changed it to Allegri keeps the 4-2-3-1, but it's more narrow. But he will look to get a deep line playmaker. I think he would look to get like his Juventus team when they had Pjanic beside Khedira. He had that destroyer. Like Fofana's there's the destroyer. But who does he bring in as that player who's going to play those passes, like short and long, that are accurate? I think he would try to get Tonali back.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, who would it be?
Imagine it. Would that work though? Because especially towards the end of his career, I think he can prize away Jorginho, as you just said. But imagine those two as a midfield duo there.
Well, Fofana and Jorginho.
Yeah.
That would actually
similar to how we did it with Kante and Jorginho.
Kante, Jorginho, yeah.
That would be cold. I'll say this as well though. If it's Allegri, it wouldn't surprise me if one of the first things he does, he tries to get a midfielder at Juventus, like Locatelli, or like tries to get Locatelli back to Milan, or he tries to go for
Wasn't Locatelli not outcasted, but almost thrown out by Juve? Yeah, I think I'm surprised Milan didn't do that.
Same at Milan. Like Milan froze him out when they wanted Tonali, so he went to Sassuolo. Really bad move. I would have still kept him because he's ace. I actually think now, in a way, if it goes Allegri and Allegri plays that same 4-2-3-1 where he has that playmaker, or if he plays he plays a midfield free and he's got his playmaker in midfield, like somebody who's in that Pjanic role, he finds that player, he's won the league. Because that's all they need. They just need a conductor in midfield who can dictate the control and the play of where the ball goes. And someone needs to grab Rafael by the neck. Because he is a brilliant player when it comes to ball retention and taking defenders on. But he needs to start contributing goals and assists. Like, if you want to be one of the best left wingers in the world, and he is up there.
Because at the moment, the thing I see with Leao is he's literally just pace at the moment.
Like he will get into positions to actually create, but he isn't getting the numbers to justify the chances he's creating. He needs the numbers. He gets that on his side, he's fine.
Oh, absolutely.
He'll go up in our level. Like even like a Sarri or an Allegri improves that. If he leaves PSG at the end of the season, I'd love to see Luis Enrique manage Rafael Leao. Like that would actually scare the shit out of me.
That'd be insane.
Who knows? But we do have Inzaghi. And we do have a theory about him. But
Please
the other
talk
one-
to me about Inzaghi
Yeah.
because before I set you off on Inzaghi, I just want to say something. When he went into Inter, I wasn't all that convinced.
4 years
about
ago.
him.
4
Yeah.
years ago.
And I remember February of last year, and it looked like he was 4 games away from getting the sack. And suddenly, this Inter side looks amazing. Like I said this time last year that somehow he avoided the sack and shithoused his way to a cup final and a Champions League final. But that for me wasn't fooling anything. I've gone almost complete U-turn now. I think because I've loved watching his team this last year. I love the way Inter have recruited and how they've done it, and then what he's done with his team is. I love the fact that he's got his principles, but the team itself is adaptable. I think he's just got everything spot on there. I mean, Reece, talk to me about Inzaghi, man. Honestly, like this guy's just proving me wrong every week.
Yeah, I think the one thing that he's certainly done is he's found the system that definitely fits his squad perfectly. He's got the blend of experience with younger, dynamic players who will move around those experienced players that may necessarily not be able to move as much, but can still dictate a game. Like, for example, like Çalhanoğlu is not the most mobile player in the world, and he's not necessarily slow, but he's got a fantastic ability with the ball at his feet, even if it's from a dead ball position. And he's right in his own mind to call himself the best midfielder in the world. Like, he says he's the best midfielder in the world for how he dictates, because he doesn't just create, he scores goals, and he actually he dictates
I
a
love
game.
the way his role has changed. I remember years ago when he looked like a bit more of a 10 who was really good at set pieces. Now
Milan
it's just
so
like he's
lost
gone
that
up and
trick.
nut.
They lost a trick with him. They should have kept him in that position. Like, if Milan just went, you know what, we don't see you as a 10 anymore, we're going to play in a deeper role, he would never have been at Inter. They lost it. And it's a shame because I love Çalhanoğlu. When I look at the midfield, like, he's managed to rejuvenate Barella. Unfortunately, he's out injured for again. But he's improved Fratesi. He's got Asalani cooking. They've recruited exponentially in defence. He's taken Sommer up another level, who's completely replaced Onana, which is not hard. Martinez seems to be finding the right blend for him. Like, he's got the right level of player there, and he's done well with the he's not just about winning the big games, but he wins the decisive games as well. And his record in the Milan derby, winning 6 in a row, is incredible before they got beat. Getting to the Champions League final from a Conte team that has went from bullying teams with just pace and power, he's now bullying teams with precision and accuracy. And he's rightfully so when he said that if you press our team, you've lost, because they will gladly get pressed because they are good enough with and without the ball that they can press you high, or they can transition a counter, or they can just pass around beautifully. I mean, if you look at the DeMarco equaliser against Milan, it's a Barella switch pass that plays a half-courted volley from DeMarco into midfield, goes to Lautaro Martinez, and then Martinez just flicks it back through and DeMarco scores. But it's the fact that they can play that elegant passing game, or they can press you, and the fact that he's on this is worst start in 4 years at Inter Milan, which is wild. But the fact that it took 4 years to do it, he has already been warned by other managers that, well, he has already been by numerous people, he's the top 3 in the world. I think he is at club level. I think he's the 3rd best manager in the world behind Guardiola and Ancelotti. For club level, anyway.
I want to see him win more things.
I think
really stamp his authority, stamp his name like in that category, because I think
Inter have been
he
warned that
might-
he will be moving the next 6 to 12 months. I think
I
there's
think he could
one weird
potentially
chance.
be that one of those managers where, like, let's take United as an example. There's a lot of
I
talk
think
that Ten Hag is our Brendan Rodgers, who's our Klopp. Inzaghi might be that guy.
I
Yeah.
think Inzaghi actually is the next Man United manager. There's so many managers I would love to see take the United job. I'm actually going to say, when I said I had a theory about Inzaghi, I think Inzaghi gets the Man United job potentially at the same time when I called it Spalletti was getting the sack. And I called that in a January period. I think you could see Inzaghi be the Man United manager potentially in January or the end of the season. And I think Inzaghi will bend the back four. It's not that United aren't good in the back four, they're not good in the back three. I think what he'll do is he'll say, we have to play my system and you'll actually benefit as a team. I think United will transition to a back three. He'll say, I need at least 2 or 3 signings minimum. And I think one of them he'll do is he will look to get a wing back on the left-hand side. He'll get a left back. Yeah, I can see that. I think that would be his first signing. And I think United should still, almost priority, try and get Angel Gomez back on a free. But on the flip side, it wouldn't surprise me if another player that he wants is Hakan Çalhanoğlu. And I actually look at it and I could realistically see Simeone Inzaghi playing this. Now,
I was about to ask you bring the board back up, so I'm glad you're just taking it upon yourself to do it.
Just about to, because I already know exactly what system he would play at Man United. It's not the one that I would go for. It's the one that he definitely would go for. I'm actually using his brain. I can see Man United playing something like, and I'm actually going to put the names in of the current squad before you even look at who he might sign, who he wouldn't sign.
I'm just imagining a back three of Martinez, De Ligt, and Euro, and I'm salivating right now.
Just wait till you see what I've got in mind. This is just current squad, by the way. Say he was the manager tomorrow. If there's one thing I like about what he does, I like how he operates wing backs as well. One player in there I'm annoyed I've had to name, but when you actually look at it in this type of position, he actually would be very good. Now I'm about to put in the keys. Now I've left some players on the bench for a reason, but that's because we can transition from this system into a 3 up front, or we can play with 2 10s and a striker. So that's why I've left 2 players out the team. But I could realistically see United playing something like I could seriously see this. And I actually think United wouldn't just compete for the league. I think United could win the league with this. Now, I only amend potentially only 3 positions I'm changing. I'm getting rid of him.
Definitely.
And I'm bringing in him.
I think you
Yeah,
can even
keeping
bring
those-
in Mainan potentially.
No, we won't. We won't. But I'm getting rid of Nana for Costa. I'm keeping Ugarte, but potentially he could end up going to the
Fernandes.
bench. Now I could see Ugarte potentially transition to the bench in rotation with him.
Yeah.
I could see that. I could see, instead of this guy being sold, I could see him dropping here
Hmm.
as a backup.
And then
'Cause I
DeMarco
don't want him at left.
starts.
DeMarco, yeah. And then that could be right there as well. You swap them around, but he's still playing the deeper role.
Hmm.
That stays the same.
Hmm.
He moves over to that side of the two. And then this is where it gets really groovy.
Oh no. He's going
I've said-
nuts.
I can
Here we
actually
go.
see. Now, Højlund is big money, but one thing that he's proven at Inter is a price tag doesn't make a difference to him. You've got to fit his team, you've got to fit the system, and then you'll get included. That's why he did not want Lukaku, because he's smart. So Rashford would effectively become like that, either the main
The
goal scoring
Thuram.
threat, or the Thuram, or he would play the second striker role.
That's why I think Rashford works really well in either one of those positions.
Same. I would have right beside him. You want to have a guess who I'm thinking?
I want to.
Go on.
I was just, you know, I want to. I'm just thinking. Because I know when you say it, I'm going to hate myself for not guessing it because I know it's going to be someone you rate. Nah. Just tell me who is it.
You really don't want to try.
I don't want to try now. Because for some reason I seem to have forgotten every player you rated ever.
You want to take a hazard, Nathan?
I have no idea, to be honest.
I'll
But-
give you a
Go on.
fair clue each. This striker
you.
does play in a back three system that does have a front
Ooh.
two. Sometimes it plays with a front three, but he definitely has played in the front two, and it is a back three system.
Osimhen.
It's not Osimhen.
Oh, he's gone to Galatasaray, hasn't he?
But it won't be Osimhen.
What kind of role is this? Is it the 10 or the striker role?
Striker.
The striker role. Okay, it's definitely a striker then. Plays in a back three system.
Yeah. He plays in a back three system. He's big and powerful.
Ooh.
For some reason I thought of Haaland. City getting
Not him.
relegated to playing
No,
like
that would-
Altrincham away.
But that would be peak. But it's not him. But he is big and powerful. Now, at one point he was playing. Well, they were in a back three. I'm not like. I think they have changed as well. But at times he's mixed them up.
How big is the team? Like what kind of pedigree we're talking?
Trophy winners, like title winners.
Okay.
Ooh.
You're not going to go for someone like Kolo Muani or something like that, are you?
No,
Okay.
I said title winners, not pizzas.
Okay.
Well,
fair
in their
enough.
case, it's more like croissants. But it's not anyone from the French league.
Gyökeres.
Mhm.
Oh, good lord.
I don't know how it took me so long. Should have just said Nathan hates this guy for whatever reason.
But it's actually well, he's one of 3. He's one of them. Gyökeres for me would be number 1. Second one is him,
Vlahovic, yeah. Oh,
and the third one, I actually think would be a manager's dream, and none of you would have predicted this man.
No, I bloody hope not.
You want to guess the last of this name?
Well, Kanga doesn't start with that.
oh, Boniface.
Yep. I think Boniface is a manager's dream. Big, powerful, really good in the ball, and a brilliant finisher. But for me, I think that's your top 2 picks. That's your main pick. And that team wins you the Premier League.
I was going to say, not to be deluded, but that team, if they're all firing, that looks good enough to win the league.
Yeah.
And you keep Luke Shaw away from left wing back. Because he doesn't start ahead of DeMarco in any
Oh,
team.
no chance.
Do you know what's funny? I think
Imagine
Luke
gonna
Shaw
use this
has
team on FIFA, see what
proven
happens.
before. Luke Shaw has proven before as a left centre back. He's been quite good.
The only way I would
So-
keep him at United if he's a left wing back, left centre back in rotation,
Yeah.
I would not be starting him
I
at
don't
left
think
back
he does.
anymore.
I don't think he stays. I think the board will just, like Dan Ashworth, will look at his injury problems and be like, no,
Yeah, that's not happening.
sporting
Real.
excellence, no.
And then you've got DeMarco is literally just like, I think for DeMarco though, I think DeMarco would more or less be around here when you look at
Do you
how
know
high
what?
up he goes, but he covers it. Maybe
Do you know
could
what?
just
Even-
cover in here.
Even if it's Theo Hernandez instead of DeMarco, I still think
Still
it would
the
be
same.
just as good.
Yeah. I
think
think
you-
I would.
I think either club, either left wing back, you can take advantage of.
There's
Inter are
also,
always selling players. Theo Hernandez's contract situation is up in the air.
there's still one other if United are really, really good at getting this guy. There's still one other for the same position.
For
DeMarco and Theo
Alphonso
Hernandez.
Davies.
Yeah. Now that would
I
be
don't know if
some
that
serious
happens,
pull.
but that would be an insane move.
And it's not delusion that United would win the league with this team. It's not delusion at all.
Do you know
Like,
what? Can I be honest with you? I'm surprised you kept Bruno Fernandes in there.
I did for one reason. I think his role would. I think when you look at teams, realistically, when I look at it in the smartest way, Çalhanoğlu gets to keep his deeper role that he plays at Inter because he's a fantastic deep playmaker. I think Fernandes would actually finally get to use the way that I think he wants to get used. I think Fernandes would get to just run that shuttle area like Barella does at Inter. And I think if you give Fernandes that role, it
You
lets
get
this
the goal
man
output
move.
again.
He
Yeah.
can move in his own little space, improve. He can build that formative relationships. Then you can swap out in games where you can take out Çalhanoğlu and you can put Ugarte straight back in. But then when you put Ugarte straight back in, all you do is just this. When it wants to behave. You put Ugarte there instead of Çalhanoğlu. That's it. He just pushes straight up. These guys go higher up. And then it's about how do these guys do it? They're likely to be like this. These
Becomes like
guys
a
will just sit in just a
3-3-4
little bit.
almost.
And then all you need to do is just keep this guy happy. This right here would have United would have been in the top 3 last year if they'd signed Diogo Costa, not Onana.
I do like that
And
team. I
it's-
do like that vision. I do like
and it's just-
Inzaghi personally.
And it's the same way as well. If you look at the only other manager I would say for a back 3 that I would actually take, well, to be fair, I would take Simeone as well. But you've got the same team. There's Thomas Tuchel right there. A little bit there. There. Right in. Right in. Thomas Tuchel or Inzaghi. But I actually think if United want, you look at the players United have signed, and I actually think the smarter move for United actually is Inzaghi. Thomas Tuchel will be like they're the only other. I think he's the only smart appointment. But for me, when you look at it, it's wiser to go for Inzaghi because he already knows most of these players anyway. But it would be so good just to see him bin Onana for Costa if he did it. It would be glorious.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd love him even more. But that right there, and you know what's even more about this team? There's one thing that at least you know that he wouldn't do. He wouldn't shy out. He doesn't pussy about, like, if you're not playing good, he will call you out. He ain't afraid to call you out.
Especially with the egos, that's what you need at Manchester United.
Yep. If he's available within the next 6 to 12 months, I like Ten Hag as a manager, but I don't particularly like him as a human being. I think he hasn't got the humility as a manager. If Inzaghi is available in the next 6 to 12 months, sack Ten Hag, get Inzaghi, and then Pep Guardiola finally has a rival for the Manchester clubs at a high level.
What I
then he'll
love
stay.
about Inzaghi's adaptability. That's the one big thing I think every team needs. I'm fed up of this whole we play one way and that's it.
Yep.
I think have your principles, but you got to be adaptable. There's no way you can play the same way against every team.
You know what's crazy as well? That obsessive new system that keeps coming as well, that 3-2-4-1 thing. You know what's mad as well is I could see Inzaghi doing the same thing at United as well in certain games where they dominate play. And your team is literally just this. Ugarte and Main in front. Bruno and Rashford as your 2 10s. Mazraoui and DeMarco playing as the wide roles, but still facility to come back and defend. Gyökeres is your main man up top. That would actually scare people. And I think they should look into it a little bit, that system. But yeah, for me, I'm all aboard Inzaghi to Man United if he leaves. I think Man United should do it. Because I'd actually like to see United compete with the likes of Liverpool and compete with City in the best way with a good manager who won't complain about who's in his squad. He'll just complain if you actually do the job. And I think at some point he needs a fresh start as well, to be fair. 4 years at Inter. That is hard shit.
Oh, massively.
And he's turned that team around a lot. I've got all the respect in the world for Inzaghi, even though he manages them. If Inzaghi came in at Man United next, like say January or next summer, my prediction literally for United is top 2. My prediction would literally be for any signings. Yeah.
If you're pulling a Spalletti leaving Napoli, I swear to God, Reece.
I'm going based on the reports that I've seen from that said yesterday that Inter Milan have been warned that Inzaghi will leave within the 6 to 12 months. I didn't even see reports about Spalletti leaving, by the way. Napoli
there was nothing about it, and then it came out.
Napoli were still unbeaten at the time in all competitions. They were cooking, and then all you hear is just some local lad from Scotland just out the way and says, "Oh, by the way, Spalletti will leave Napoli at the end of the season." And when people just said I was being an ITK, I was like, I don't know anyone from within Napoli. I just said it. I was like, he'll just leave, and I got called out. I got abused from Napoli fans. Like Napoli ultras came after me. And I was like, that's fine. You can come at me all you want. I know a few folk in the Curva Sud if you want to come at me, but that's okay. And then it came to the end of the season, all the Napoli fans that abused me actually were apologising to me. It's just absolute
Madness.
peak. It's like, I'm like, I just made an educated guess. Spalletti will go. They're like, no, he's gonna win the league with us. He'll stay. No, he won the league and he was gone, instant. I would take it. I think if Inzaghi gets a whiff of the United job, not gonna lie, there's your project regeneration right there.
Comes in, he might be the Klopp. Do you know what I mean? If we're going with this whole comparison, like that people have been saying,
It
but
could be.
What's mad as well is, you know what he could do as well? He doesn't play in that position, but you know what he might do as well? He could play Ahmad in that left side of midfield role as well, because he's done it really well for Ivory Coast. He might not sign DeMarco, but he could play Ahmad as his left wing back as well, like left midfielder. It would actually be interesting to see Ahmad playing that type of role as well. I think he would go away from United playing wingers though. I don't think United are actually quite good at the moment playing with wingers. I think United play better when they're like wide tens, when they're compact and narrow. Yeah, give me Inzaghi to Man United. I think Ten Hag's had his day. He's won 2 trophies, credit to him and all that, but he consistently makes the same mistakes. I don't think Inzaghi would.
%.
If I end up being right, by the way, I'm just going to say I'm the greatest of all time.
Yeah, I mean that meme and that Reece's right back is coming straight back up.
I might have to leave the World of Football podcast at that point. I mean, he's right, and it's not a bad thing to be right about, but it's just, I think I'd take a 3-week holiday. I'm not ready
for the end of it from Reece.
I'm just not ready. I just wouldn't be ready for whatever that wankfest is. I just couldn't. I don't think I could handle it. The one-man Reece wankfest. I just don't think I could handle that.
It was just me on repeat saying, "He's the GOAT. Let's go."
Yeah,
I would be. I would just have that on repeat because how can you come back to that? How could you?
Oh, you just can't.
Nathan just starts playing the Grant Hanley thing.
Wait! What was that?
I'm alright with that.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Grant Hanley.
Every time, you know the rules.
I need to see a version of that with my name on it and my face, just for.
Oh, don't! It's coming. Reece is coming.
I need to see it. Because I want to use that on the weekly seal chair for entertainment purposes.
By the way, Reece, I just want to point something out. You know, last night you posted something about that you were posting about the women's wrestlers.
Yeah.
Me, Keen, Amy, and others were in a group chat talking about who's everyone's favorite women's wrestler last night before you posted that.
Really?
Yeah, genuinely. And I think
I caused problems.
And Amy put Liv Morgan, and I remember I just messaged in the group chat like, who or what is a Liv Morgan? Because some wrestling knowledge isn't there.
No.
So I was there like,
sure, a picture of Dominic. Oh dear.
Yes, it's a very useful secret group chat, I will say. Yeah,
it's an overrated group chat. It's an overrated group chat.
I abuse Liv Morgan all the time anyway. It's fine. I think she's shit.
I agree. Yeah. But aside from that, as I'm thinking, I can't even speak. I'm thinking I'll probably wrap up here. Do you have any parting comments? Or?
I'm going to go and do an Inzaghi career mode with Man United on 24, to be honest. Can't be asked for 25.
I'm going to do an Inzaghi career mode just tactically, and just formation-wise, but really it's just going to be me being the face of Cardiff.
I'm going to have free setup. I'm going to have free setups. I'm going to have the 3-4-3, the 3-1-4-2, and I'm going to have that 3-2-4-1. And I'm going to see if I can win every trophy with United.
It's going to be insane.
Oh, I'll cook. I always cook.
God, I
Ten
see
Hag.
why doing this.
Ten Hag binned for a 48-year-old has got actual tactical ability.
Fucking hell.
God.
Right.
But aside from that, lads, have a great week. You know where to find us.
Likewise,
comment,
oh,
abuse us on
do
Twitter.
everything. Oh,
and folks, the quiz is almost coming.
it is. Watch this space, lads. Watch
Be
this space.
prepared. Nathan's getting the guests. Nathan's dad will be here. Josh, you better be here. Nathan will see to it, or I will hunt you down. I will find you.
Can Nathan match me to 3-all? That's the big question.
That is the
We'll
big
get
question.
Doug. We'll get Doug because Doug's won 2 World of Football podcast quizzes as well.
Oh, Doug as well. Yeah, Christ,
Yeah.
I forgot that he's won
We'll
2,
get Doug
hasn't
in
he? Yeah.
So I think that's the plan. We're going to see if we can do it. We'll try next weekend. I think next weekend is very, very appropriate. We'll do. Actually, no. There's an international break coming up.
There is, yeah.
Sick.
There you go. We'll do it the international break. We'll do
Yeah,
it the
fair.
No
weekend.
one cares about international break,
We'll probably do it on like the Saturday or the Sunday.
apart from
I
Nathan.
think the Saturday or the Sunday will actually be better for everybody because that means we can get guests on. So yeah,
Yeah,
Nathan, see if
absolutely.
we can go for when is the international break, Nathan? Is it 2 weeks?
I think so, something like that.
Scour the schedule, and whatever weekend the international break's on, we'll do that weekend. So you get date, you tell me. Ask people what day suits them,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then we'll do that, and then I'll finish the quiz off. So I need to get a few more questions in, but we should be ready soon for that.
100%. I can't wait to bring it on. But aside from that, smash out the park. And yeah, we'll see you all next time. Cheers, guys.
Good night,
Enjoy.
everyone. Good night.
Enjoy.
Arrivederci.
Live on YouTube. And listen back on Spotify. This is the World of Football Podcast.